my grandmother's one thing, but when I think about my parents in the next 20, 30 years being in that situation, I don't want like elderly care to be worse than it is today. I want it to be better. And for that to work, we need to make sure that efficiency increases. So that's the fundamental thing that we're solving as a company. We make it easier to care for elderly people, we make it more efficient, and therefore we can at least maintain or even improve the quality of elderly care.
Hey Tim, it's nice to see you. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Nice. Well, it's been a while since we've been talking, and I think it's been a while since you've been in the Cavalry portfolio, but it's finally official. Yes. So the news is finally out. This is amazing. And we're very happy to finally being able to say it out loud and celebrate this achievement with you.
Yeah, it took us a while to finalize that announcement, but here we are. Very excited to be here today and to announce that we did the seed financing round with you guys, UVC and DN. So it's a big day for us.
Yeah, for sure it is. Well, I guess not a lot of people know what Patronus is doing, given that there was no announcement yet. So why don't you tell us in short what you're doing there at Patronus?
Yeah, fair point. I think we should start telling people. I mean, actually show them, and this is sort of what we're doing, at least part of it. Basically, what we're doing is we're building software that helps you take care of old people in your life, like your grandparents. Doing that in different ways. I mean, this is a part of it. So one part is a software that we have for smartwatches that transforms them into elderly-friendly smartwatches, which is basically an emergency device. So my grandmother's wearing that watch every day. She can call for help whenever she needs to through that watch. So this is one part of the service we're offering. And the other part is sort of focus on all the people taking care of my grandmother, where we're offering a mobile app where you can track where this person is, like get an alert if she's like leaving a certain area. You can see if she's okay. So really getting that peace of mind that the elderly people in your life are being taken care of. So the overall goal is to kind of take out the pain of elderly care, make it more pleasant, reduce the hassle, and yeah, make it more pleasant experience.
Nice. Well, and you mentioned your grandmother, right? So I think it's for some products, it's kind of harder to understand kind of like what inspired you to do this. Maybe for this one, it's a bit easier. Like what's the story there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a very tangible product, right? So everyone knows what it's being used for, which is very nice. Obviously, I personally am sort of a user with my grandmother who was very involved in the testing early on. But I think it's more fundamental what's inspiring us. It's like less like my personal situation. It's more generally the system of elderly care, how it currently works, and what problems we will be facing if just by looking at how the population is developing over the next 10, 20 years. I mean, so on one hand, we have like all those elderly people that are just growing in numbers. And then on the other hand, you have all the people taking care of those elderly people. And the one number is growing, the other one is shrinking, which means that, I mean, just for the system to work, you can just either decrease service level, so care worse for your grandparents, or you need to increase efficiency. So you make it easier for them to take care of their grandparents. And decreasing service level is not a good option. I mean, probably that's where it gets personal, right? I mean, my grandmother's one thing, but when I think about my parents in the next 20, 30 years being in that situation, I don't want like elderly care to be worse than it is today. I want it to be better. And for that to work, we need to make sure that efficiency increases. So that's the fundamental thing that we're solving as a company. We make it easier to care for elderly people, we make it more efficient, and therefore we can at least maintain or even improve the quality of elderly care. And I think that's something that will keep us busy for the next 20 years.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to do there, right?
So for sure, yeah.
It's a good starting point, let's say. But I guess you've said a lot of interesting things, right? And I think with respect to healthcare, so many aspects of healthcare to date are undigitized, but especially elderly healthcare in a way.
Yeah, I mean, different world.
Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely different to regular healthcare, right? I mean, in terms of the structure, how it works, it changes from this one-to-one relationship to all the stakeholders being involved. But I think the fundamental difference is the user, right? I mean, an elderly person just operates in a different way, has different skills, preferences, needs. And I mean, fundamentally, it's just really hard to build a digital product for an old person. It's very, very different. You need a different level of empathy and user research. And a lot of digital products that are out there today obviously focus on people like us, right? I mean, we are very used to using an Apple Watch, a smartphone, like we know how to operate with that. My grandmother does not. So it requires a different approach for product development, for user research. And that's exactly what we're doing. Like that is our core capability, just building a product for elderly people that they love to use. I mean, that's really what we're achieving. Like people love to use our product. Like the feedback we get is incredible, both in terms of like satisfaction of our users, but also the retention that we have, which is, I mean, we're a B2C company, right? But the retention we have with our users is incredibly high. And that shows that we really cracked this like user adoption challenge that is so hard to crack in the elderly care market. And that's the main reason why there's no such product there yet that specifically focus on elderly people.
Nice. And I guess at Cavalry, it's something that we saw right from the early start. So that was amazing for us. And it was pretty evident, right? Even in the first few months that something was happening. So this is great. And you showed us the watch, right? The watch is the emergency product. Of course, now you're doing a lot of different stuff that we can talk about. But what about the emergency product? Why start with that?
Yeah, I mean, so the emergency product is really what got us going in the beginning. And to be fair, is probably what will enable the majority of our growth in the future, because it really allows us to acquire the most important stakeholder in that ecosystem, which is the elderly person. It's really, really hard to build a product around someone if you don't have them involved in your product, especially in the healthcare space. So for us, it was always critical to start with onboarding this elderly person. And as I said, I mean, the emergency feature of this watch is sort of a kind of simple feature. It's very easy to understand, but it's critical in order to acquire our users, because it really addresses the most significant pain point that they have. Like the biggest fear that most elderly people have is they are home by themselves or in the garden or in the park. They need help suddenly because they fall, they feel unwell, there's no one there, which happens quite often, right? I mean, it's ridiculous because elderly people have emergencies obviously much more often than young people, but on the other hand, they also spend so much more time by themselves. So they usually don't have anyone around them to help. So covering this emergency service is such an important part of our product, and is the reason why people decide for a product in the first place. And it's also a reason why people wear this watch. Like that's literally why my grandmother's wearing this watch every single day, because she's feeling much safer now that when she goes down to the basement to get some stuff over there, she knows that if something happens there, she knows she can just press the button and speak to our call center. And that is critical to get this user adoption that I was just talking about in the first place. That's important to crack the code in elderly care.
Yes, which brings me kind of like to the next point, right? This is the first product to crack user adoption. So what are the next steps for you? What is your overall vision here?
Yeah, it really is the first product, and will continue to be the backbone of a lot of things we do. But yes, obviously the next big part, I already mentioned that briefly in the beginning, is the app for family carers. So what we're generally trying to do is now bring on board all those other stakeholders around this elderly person, which in the first place is by far the most important stakeholder are the family caregivers, because that is the largest number of people that take care of our users. Like that's the case in my family, it's the case in many other families. A lot of family members are involved in caring for those elderly people. So that's why we have the Carer app, which is a mobile app where you can access a lot of information on the watch. You can coordinate with the elderly person, with the other family carers. So it really makes it much easier to manage the daily lives of them. And that's something that's actually done. So we're about to roll this out next month, which is very exciting. So currently in the last testing phase. And that is the next step. And then we really focus on those two products. And then, as I said, step by step, we will onboard all those other stakeholders. Because increasing the efficiency of elderly care obviously starts with the elderly person and a family member, but then applies to all those other stakeholders as well. I mean, we talk with a lot of players in the market. We talk with professional caregivers, nursing homes, doctors, and all of them can benefit from being connected better with the elderly person and with the other stakeholders, sharing information with them, profiting from the information that's being shared with them. So this whole ecosystem is just much more efficient when it's connected digitally, which it's not right now. And with us onboarding them to our platform, we really want to become this one central collaboration software where all those players are operating and collaborating with each other. And when we do that, we really improve the efficiency in the market. That allows us to maintain the quality elderly care for the next 50 years.
Nice. I really like this vision and I can't wait for this to happen. But yeah, no, it's been nice to talk, team. I'm glad I can finally announce that you're officially within the Cavalry family, and we're very glad to be in this investment with UVC and Diane as well. So thank you so much for talking today. I'm really
thanks for having me, and thanks a lot to you and UVC and Diane for the support the last 6 months or what it's been. It's been a great ride, and yeah, we're super excited for the years to come.
We are too. Ciao, team.
Cool. See ya.